Well, Mark Robinson, our new interim manager, what have the last 48 hours been like for you?
Emotional, not emotional as in emotional, being asked to do the job. Obviously I was very close to Glyn. I know Wally initially brought me closer to the first team, but then Glyn brought me in, so we had a great relationship. He's a fantastic man, and we all hoped that things were going to go fantastically well, so it was very emotional. So so mixed, but at the same time I've been asked to do a job, so Glyn was fantastic, which tells you everything about the man. He spent 20 minutes with me after the game, after he's been told his news, and he spent 20 minutes with me talking to me about me implementing my ideas and me being myself. So that says everything about him. So obviously there was that emotional side. But once I spoke to Glyn, he said just go and do what you've got to do. Then I just then the brain starts whizzing, and you start thinking about what you're going to do. There's no point, I don't know how long it's going to be for, so there's no point me dipping my toe in the water. I've got to be me. I've got to implement what I think is important. So so it's just been really busy, all hands to the pump, getting things ready. I wanted to make an impact on the boys when they come in today. So just lots and lots of preparation, lots of planning, and trying to get the boys excited to go again.
What are the main things you've actually been working on today then, and since Saturday? What have you been putting in place?
I did some things down at the training ground, some stimulus things to get the lads stimulated, and also regards to how we're going to play. I spoke to the groundsman to get some pitch markings in terms of how we're going to play off the ball, in terms of what we're looking for in terms of our intensity and our press. So that was the first thing, to get those things in place, and then I had a presentation ready for the boys just to set out our stall really. So we had a 45-minute presentation where I spoke to the boys about where I see them needing to go. But it was very interactive. It wasn't just me talking; it was getting them talking, which is really important. And I've brought in a set piece coach as well. So he did a presentation on the lads in terms of how we're going to approach set pieces, and obviously there's other things that won't change, things that have gone really well that we don't need to change. So so it's just been planning, lots of preparation. Just wanted to have a really good, vibrant start, and I feel that's what's happened.
And backroom staff, what help have you been getting with that?
Yeah, well, just everyone's been absolutely fantastic. So Bezo I've brought closer to me, so Bezo will be assisting me. He's known me for years and years. He knows how I think. So Bezo will be assisting me, and then I've brought in, the academy coaches have been fantastic. They're fantastic young coaches. I've got no problem with them at all. So they've come in today and been helping on various things, from the presentation to just generally setting things up and getting the environment how I want it to be. So in terms of bringing people in, I don't want to make any knee-jerk decisions on that, because it's so important for people to know what I'm about. So I haven't got time at the moment to bring someone in and start talking to them about how I see environments and cultures, etc. So at the moment we're all good, but I'll just assess that as we go along.
And some have said in recent times that we had the best start to a League One season since we got promoted, and now it's gone completely the other way. Do you think it's just belief that amongst the players, that the way it's turned around like that?
Yeah, I mean it can be all manner of things. Belief is massive. The mental side of the game, the psychological side of the game is absolutely huge. It's what stops good players not being able to perform. So there's the human side of it is so key. So, and once belief goes out, then you can get in that roller coaster where it becomes very difficult. I don't think the performances have been poor, and that was one of the things the lads said. They feel like they're still giving everything. So I've just had to look at that and go through things and ask them their thoughts basically, and then just give them direction on where I think we need to go to get that spark back, to freshen things up, to liven things up. As I said, everyone has their own ideas. So I don't think you can pinpoint anything on one thing. It's never one thing. It's normally just a manner of loads of little things that lead up to the performances or the results, not quite what they want to be. So as I said, I don't want to say too much, but it's for me, it's more about how they think, getting them to think in a certain different way. So the one thing, I'm not a quick fix coach. I've always been a builder, from building the academy with the staff around me to what I've done outside of football. I'm a builder, so there's no quick fixes. If we're going to become stable and we're going to improve and we're going to go where we need to go, there isn't going to be a quick fix. It's about change of mindsets with the staff and the players and everyone around.
You first joined us as a coach in 2004. It's obviously a very long time ago.
Yeah.
So what does it mean to you to be, however long it lasts, to be in charge of the first team?
Yeah, I mean, it was part of my presentation. I've just been given the opportunity to be the manager of the greatest story in English football. So it goes without saying how I should feel. It's ridiculous for me to explain how I should feel, and that was part of the presentation to the boys. We were talking to them about, the how and the what. So what do you do and how do you do things? But people often forget why. And I think sometimes that can be the problem, is why you're doing something. You know what you're doing, and you know to some respect how you do it, but you forget why you're doing it, and your why is your purpose. My purpose has always been the people I know and I love at the club that have driven me to try and produce players. And now, as I said, for however long it may be, I'm the manager of the greatest story in English football, and the players need to realise that they're playing for the greatest story in English football. So that's been the underlying message underpinning everything, along with the values that go with that on and off the pitch. So it was a very long answer to say I'm obviously very happy.
It's great to hear that. In terms of what you told us over the years, you said in interviews that jobs outside football have influenced your coaching career.
Yeah. How
How important is it that when players come in as well, that you don't take football for granted, and you're evidence of that, really?
Yeah, I think again, that's what we're talking to the boys about. When you start playing football, all you want to be is a professional footballer. All the other nonsense around it is, you don't think about all that stuff, agents and distractions and whatever, so you're driven. So it's getting back to why they play football and why they love football. And my experiences, obviously, the way my career went and my experiences outside of football have taught me many things that I don't think you necessarily learn in football. So, I know people are going to judge me and say lack of experience, but it depends what you think experience is. I've built my own business. I've been a major part of building an academy, so I understand people. I understand what makes them tick. So the emotional intelligence behind things is massively important, and it plays a massive part in managing people and getting elite performances from them. So, I haven't got any experience in terms of being a League One manager, but in terms of life experience and getting performance out of people, I think I've probably got more experience than most.
Is it a test of your skills, and however long you're in charge, that you've got to identify the players who are best suited for this situation, no matter if you've worked with young players and they're part of the squad now, the players for now who are the best fit?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to look at, one, how we're going to play and how do those players fit into that style of play. And one of the things that we all agreed on this morning is that, we need to play with a real intensity. That's the way we've got to be. We've got to be aggressive on the press. We've got to be, I explained to the lads, they all want to play good football. That's the modern day player now. They want to play attractive football. But I explained to them that there's never been a team in the history of football that have been poor without the ball. So we have to be absolutely fantastic without the ball. And then the on the ball stuff will take time. But in terms of the players, you obviously look and go, who's going to give you that? And to keep the intensity we need to be at, again, I've said to the lads that might involve some rotation, not rotation for rotation's sake, but to keep the intensity levels where they need to be. I said everyone needs to be ready so that whoever steps in, the level performance don't dip. They've got the tactical knowledge, they've got the understanding, and the intensity levels stay exactly the same, because we've got to get ourselves to a level where it's like that, and you can rely on whoever's going to come in that's going to keep it up there.
Looking ahead to Oxford on Tuesday night, what have we got in terms of team news, suspensions and injuries?
I always promised myself if I was ever in this position, I'd never lay the excuse. If no, it's not great. It wasn't great getting a phone call from Chris, but listen, it is what it is. We can't play George, Dobson and DJ because obviously they're cup tied, and obviously we got Ben out, we got Woody out, and because of the amount of games that have gone on, there's 4 or 5 players that are on limited minutes. So I've spoke to the boys, they want to play. So, you know, the last thing I wanted to do, obviously coming from an academy, was want to play young players in the game, because I know people's, you know, perspective might be, oh, here he goes, he's just going to give the young players a chance. That's certainly not the case. It's as needs. So it will be a very young bench, and there's some other opportunities coming to other players. But listen, it is what it is. We've got another game coming Saturday. I've had to listen to, you know, Tim, the physio, and Chris, our sports scientist, and he said, you know, there are players in real risk of breaking down, and you could lose them for weeks. So it's, you know, it's not me layering excuses, it's just a fact. But we had a really good session today after the meetings, and we just get, you know, we're going to have a right old go.
And Oxford, you know all about them, played them twice this season, actually played really well there.
Yeah.
Both occasions, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, we know about them, and you know, I want to flip things a little bit. Obviously, you've got to do detail on the opposition, but my plan is for everything. You know, I want to be 80% us, 20% the opposition. I think that goes back. You know, you asked me earlier about self-belief. I think if you're talking about the opposition a lot, that doesn't help with self-belief. So I want the building full of talking about us and what we're going to do. You can't be naive. We've obviously got to recognise their threats and what they do, and we do a work. But I want that work to be minimal compared to what we're going to do, so that we can implement ourselves on the game, and we can grow our identity, so that, you know, when we're playing the opposition, they start thinking a hell of a lot more about us.